Hello, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. I'm your host for Stack Collector this week, Tiger Stacker. I'm with my co-host here, Frostbite Coins. How you doing, Frosty?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Oh, I'm okay, about as good as it can get. We have a really good live stream, don't we, Frosty?
I would think so. Yes, we have a special guest. We're going to be talking about a little bit of kindness, and there's some good stories that come from this. I think you guys are going to enjoy this.
Most certainly, most certainly. So, without further ado, although I don't think we picked an anonymous YouTube name for her. Do you have one, or should we just let her pick one herself?
Um, I think we should call her hashtag blessed. Um,
Okay, that works.
yeah, that works. So, but let's do this real quick. Have you been watching the news?
No, I haven't. What's in the news? Hold on. Computer issues. Computer issues.
There we go. Q in the news. Well, as many of you have already saw, I did a debrief of the lots of 232 Denver, Philadelphia, and gold pennies that were auctioned at Stacks and Bowers. Did you track that at all, Tiger?
No, it was outside of my price range, and I'm not a penny person that much, so I just don't. I I'm more of a silver gold person.
Well, outside of the price range is right. The average lot price 72,260 and 77 cents. That is the average lot price. Lot one went for about $200,000. Set the tone very, very high. Part of that was because of the quality of the coins. We'll talk a little bit about that really quickly. The total auction sales, are you ready? Don't sit on your tail. 16,764,500 for
Are you joking me?
232 lots. I am not joking you at all. The lowest price realized $48,000. There were 12 lots. Of those, 6 of them had the very lowest coin grades. So this goes back to the adage that yes, rarity can be king, but something that is way more desirable is the quality of the strike.
I
And
think he is
so,
pulling my tail. What do you guys think? Put a one in the chat if you think he's pulling my tail. Put a two in the chat if he's not. He loves to pull my tail. He's just itching to grab that end right there.
I was about to say that's what she said, but that would be inappropriate. Um,
You being appropriate?
The most desirable lot was obviously lot 232. It is the one that had the canceled dies, both the Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver mints. The perfect storm in this lot was lot 64. It was the most undesirable lot. It is one of those that Ford sold for $48,000, and it got one of the lowest grades. Oh, by the way, the average grade for the gold was MS69. There were only 6 MS68s. Lot 64 got an MS68 in gold. Of the pennies that came from Philadelphia, the lowest grade, MS63, lot 64 got MS63. The only thing that would have made this lot worse is if it would have got one of the MS64s from Denver. But again, $48,000 for that. The final lot, the set 232 and the dies, I was only about 50,000 or $500,000, or excuse me, $50,000 off what I estimated at the very beginning. I said that I thought that lot would go somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000, and that lot went for $800,000.
Oh, come on.
So a hell of a payday. It's following suit to
Flowing hair?
the flowing hair as well as the Sacagawea ones that they did. This did set a new auction record for these types of items that have done by the U.S. Mint at 800,000. The first one before was 550,000. and $1. That was with the Sacagawea, the one that went into space. Aspiring alchemist, MS64, is that average? No, the average lots for this 65 was the average for Denver, and 64 was the average for Philadelphia. But as far as the gold, it was MS69 was the average. Don't worry about the slabs. It doesn't really mean much. All that you really have to focus on is that the more desirable and the better the strike, the higher price the lot went. So anyway, that was a lot of fun. Tiger, down below, I have my screen. I will put this little screenshot. I will send this over to Tiger. That lists the final tally. If anybody wants to see the full breakdown, you can go check out the live that I did on that. It was a lot of fun. Tiger, that's go ahead.
Are you saying to share what you shared, or is that for later?
You can share what I shared. It's just exactly the same thing that I put up there. But this is all the information. If you go to the video that I did, look in the description. It's exactly the same thing. So if you guys want to kind of look at this, get some fun facts, I can promise you one thing. If Tiger and I decide we want to do trivia one day, you may want to have this handy. Hint, hint, wink, wink, because we may ask questions about it sometime either today or another stream. So keep this stuff handy.
Now, which one was the one with the the director's fingerprint on it?
The lot 232, the very last lot, the one that sold for $800,000.
Did it get more because of the fingerprint or less?
I think the fingerprint was an issue, but I don't think the fingerprint necessarily affected the price. I think if the fingerprint would have been gone, it would have went for more. The coin itself, I think, was a 64, 65. I think it was a 64. Wasn't the best grade from there. It was a Philadelphia coin, so the lower end of the quality in this particular lot. But it was the very last struck Omega. So I think that's why it went with that price. But anyway, you can pull this down. We don't need to see that. They know where it's at. They want to go look at it. They can look at it. But let's focus on what matters today, and that is the guest speaker.
So our guest has a very interesting story to share with all of you. As I've alluded and Frosty has alluded, we've in our community, we have the greatest community in YouTube, but one of the reasons is the topic of kindness. We've got a lot of good people here that have shown the kindness of their heart and everyone. So I want to introduce our guest, who will present a very interesting story of unexpected kindness, well, expected kindness, but how it turned into an unexpected stack. So without further ado, let's introduce our guest. Welcome.
Hi there. How's it going?
It's going good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this. So if I do anything wrong, just slap my virtual hand and I promise I'll learn maybe after 2 or 3 slaps.
Yeah, us too.
Okay.
No, it's all good. We just appreciate you being here. And again, as Tiger alluded to, an amazing story. And there's some goodies you can see on the screen. Tiger, if you will make her big, that way we can see some of those items. We've chose a couple of these to talk about. But before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about how this came into being?
Yeah. Well, not to give too much information for, where we live or anything, but a couple years ago there was a major fire in this area where it almost consumed an entire town that my relatives live in. And well, to put it plainly, it was really pretty much everything was devastated in this area, and that included the home of my uncle, and he had been living in this community for for a good long while, at least 30 years. And in that time, he's had his experience and relationships that he's built. And it just so happened that one of the folks that he had really become accustomed to and became great friends with was another couple who, thankfully, their house was not destroyed. And when my uncle had lost his home, I mean, everything was just absolutely devastated. There was nothing left whatsoever. His poor animals, they succumbed to the fires. And we're talking, he had a farm. So we're talking about the horses, the goats, the chickens, everything was gone. Um, but in the time that he had been over here in this area, he had the opportunity, like I said, to develop the friendships, and this older folks that he became, really good friends with. They had opened their home to him. Um, what's that? What's that nation? I'm just blanking on the name for what it is. It's whenever there's a major issue that just destroys certain areas, that the government will come in and say, well, hey, here's the help that we can give through this program. What's that program called?
When they declare a national emergency, you talking about FEMA?
Yeah, I had FIFA. That wasn't it. So FEMA, thank you. They came through and they brought my uncle a trailer, and the folks that I was mentioning earlier, they allowed him to bring his trailer onto their property, and they housed him, and everything was all good, and they were able to make things start to get back to normalcy. Where not too long ago, maybe about 8, 10 months ago, they both had perished pretty quickly, one after the other, and it was of old age, nothing terrible or catastrophic, but they both ended up dying. And in their will, they ended up leaving not only their land to my uncle and all of the property that's on the land, but they also willed him the safe that they had, and he didn't have the code or anything like that. So my uncle and my brother-in-law, they went ahead and grabbed one of those fun little tools and popped this safe open like it was 1920 or something. And out came a whole bunch of gold and silver and a bunch of other incredible things that would have never ever really taken place if it wasn't for that kind of camaraderie and friendship and love that they expressed to each other while they were all still alive and cared for each other the way that they did. So that's about the nutshell of it.
Which is a pretty awesome thing. Just out of just pure kindness, because I think you also told me that in the years that your relative was in that community, he built up a nice name for himself. And I think you also told me that he looked after the elderly couple and made sure that
Oh yeah.
so.
Yeah, he was always there and available. They were older folks, and he was well enough still in his prime that he was able to help with maintaining their home that they had. And actually, just before they had passed, he had just installed. Um, I can't remember what it is. I think that he had installed the insulation in their house. Um, doing odds and ends just to make sure that they were comfortable and they felt good and safe. And, they did a good job at making sure that he was welcome. And he always made sure that they were always taken care of. And, it's those types of things that, when we come across in life, seeing somebody that could use a little bit of help or could use a little bit of extra support, it costs nothing, really. 9 times out of 10, it costs nothing to do. And at the end of it, this was a situation where, those niceties that my uncle was willing to afford to these folks, it really it left him in a really good spot. Which before, he's a humble man, like all the rest of our family. We're humble, and we make sure that we're taken care of. We make sure that our neighbors are taken care of. So this was by far one of the last things any of us could have ever imagined to take place for anybody in our family. It's just you don't really know too many folks that have a safe that's just filled with gold and silver in in their back, area in their storage or something.
So, are you trying to tell us that your family's really good at making pies?
Making what?
Pies?
Making pies? I guess so. Yeah.
The humble pie?
Yeah, yeah. And we try and make sure that there's plenty around, although not everybody takes that piece of humble pie, but it's okay. It's always
That's all
there.
right. So I found that when you told me that story, I immediately introduced you to Frosty uh,
Hmm.
because I thought that this was such an amazing story that people in our community, stacking community, need to understand that even though we are focused on gold and silver as real money and focused on trying to uh, prepare ourselves for what we believe is going to come SHTF here, you know being kind to each other is even more important than the value of money. And in this case,
Absolutely.
kindness preceded someone being accidentally thrust into the existence of being a stacker. Now, your uncle is a stacker and never even knew that he was going to be in it.
No, as a matter of fact, before I was just talking to him before I got set up over here, he didn't even know that that was a term that reflected on anything like this. So this is all a very new world for him. It's also very exciting and intriguing because, as you can only imagine, a lot of these coins, even that we're having here on display right now, there's a lot of history behind it, which I think is just really neat and exciting to learn about. Which is actually why they entrusted me in doing this because they know that I'm here for the stories. The stories are what it's all about.
That
Well,
sounds familiar, doesn't it, Tiger?
yeah, but this time it comes with a female voice.
So one thing that I was intrigued about by this story when Tiger first reached out and said, "Hey, got an idea for stack electors." Was talking to somebody and they told me the story, and I was like, "That's really cool." One thing I like about this story, and again, folks, there's a difference between doing stuff for somebody that you know has and just
Mm,
doing for somebody regardless of what they have. And
mhm,
this is a general kindness story. This is somebody who is generally looking out for somebody in their community and just being a good neighbor. And that has to take priority when we talk about this discussion. You don't do things with the expectation in return. If you do that, then
mhm,
you're not helping people. You're staging yourself for the hopes of getting something. This is genuine kindness. This is people who went and did something well above and beyond themselves for the benefit of somebody else. And, we always talk about coin karma, right? That's exactly what this is. It came back to them and it came back to them in folds. This is something that's also biblical. They will say that, do unto others, it'll come back to you 7 times fold or whatever the number is. Um, the um, the important thing here is to look at this stack and go, what's the inherent value of this? And there's two inherent values. So, Tiger, why don't you start with what you do, stacking, talk about the silver, the gold, and then we'll go to the numismatic side. I've chosen two coins to discuss some history and stories about. Why don't you talk a little bit about what's there?
I'm assuming by what's there, you mean on our guest table.
Yeah, just in general. Let's talk about what's there.
Okay. I see a good bit of Morgan dollars, some peace dollars. On the far right, I see a Canadian coin, which is probably 80% silver. One right next to it, possibly also. Um, I see some copper in there, but I can't really see it that well.
which one is it that
Oh,
you're looking at?
Just
Lincoln
underneath
cent.
Queen Elizabeth on the right.
It's the Lincoln cent.
Okay.
Oh,
Nope,
the
to the
Lincoln
right.
Center.
There you go.
And that one,
What's the year on that?
Um, let's see. 1914. My light keeps on going out. Sorry about that.
Okay. Is
and
there a mint mark underneath it?
Let's take a look. Um, it's either B or D. I need glasses again. Oh, my light keeps going out. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. So I want you to just set that there. Tiger kind of ruined something for me. We'll talk about the significance of that penny in just a moment.
Okay.
okay, I see a Krugerrand and something to the left of the Krugerrand, but I don't see it very well. Oh, That kind of looks like a sailor of some type.
That is a numismatic token. That's one of the stories that we're going to discuss about today.
Awesome. And then I see something that says 10 on it, which I'm assuming from a different country because I've never seen it before.
Can't tell what that is off the top. You had some Greek coins, you had some Italian coins, you had some
Yeah.
Canadian coins. There's a lot of world coins in this collection. Some of them are silver, some of them are not. But there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of world silver in here. German Fenning. Hey, Ringmaster Ray, what's up, buddy? So let's talk about just generally looking there. How much silver is in a Morgan and Peace dollar, Tiger?
0.77, and I forget the rest of the fraction. 0.77 troy ounces when it's brand new.
Okay. So there's 20 of them there, which is a tube. So a tube of Morgans is going for about how much right now?
Oh, gosh, it's been a while since I bought Morgan's. I would think that there's, for a decent one, you're probably looking at about, what, $45 for a Morgan?
Depending upon the quality, it's going to vary. If you do it in a lot and they do it by weight, then you'll lose the potential for some numismatic value. But I would estimate there's probably a tube. It's probably about $500 with the Morgans right there.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. So what is important about when you look at this is the unperceived value. And this is one of those things where as you look at some of the items on this screen, I told you I chose 2 coins. Tiger kind of pointed at the one I didn't want him to point at.
You should have told me in advance.
Well, I didn't see this coin because she didn't take a picture of that cent and send it to me.
Okay.
I didn't see it till it was on there. It's okay. I'm going to explain to you why before we move on. 1914D. Number one, we have to look at the authenticity of this. This is a key date coin. This coin right here, depending upon its grade, if it's authentic, it will go anywhere between $185 to $300 for that particular coin because it's a 1914 Denver. Now, looking at that, it looks like it's in really good shape. And so I will have you take some really good photos of it. Whatever you do, and I told you this before, do not clean your coins.
Right.
People want it to be nice. You will destroy the value. Absolutely destroy the value. And a coin like that doesn't look like much, absolutely leave it alone. The value is where it's at right now. I need to see it a little bit more closely, but that looks like it's probably VF, XF condition, maybe even nicer. And again, you're looking at a few $100s for that coin.
That's really cool. Who would have thought a penny would be worth that much?
Take care of that one because that's something that is highly desirable amongst numismatists. A lot of people want to collect that coin. So what does this say about the collection that you have? It wasn't a stack. This was a collection. This was a collection. Now, he may have stacked it, but he collected coins that he thought or believed were valuable. That tells me that there's probably more in this collection than what meets the eye. This tells me the quality of the collection is pretty significant. So that means every coin in that lot needs to be looked at because most likely you're going to see something that is pretty cool, actually. Chloe says there's 20 Morgan dollars is closer to $1,000.
I would say that would be about right.
Maybe. Okay. I'm way off. Well, yeah, I guess you have $50 a coin times 20, it's $1,000. Yeah, that would make sense. My math is bad.
Wow.
I would have you collect that Cougaran to my mailbox. Well, actually, I'm going to talk about that coin first. Is there anything you want to do before I get into story time, Tiger?
Oh, not much. I've covered a lot of what I want to cover, which is being kind to everyone, because that's first of all that's what's called upon us, especially me being a Christian. Some of us aren't, some of us are, but for me, yes, we're all called to be kind to each other and not expect anything in return. But sometimes God has a way of teaching us that there's some things that come back when you least expect it and don't expect it. And in this case, the not expecting was really good to her uncle. So be kind to everyone.
Yeah, and again, it goes to showing the kindness. Go ahead, ma'am. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, and that's the PSA for all you folks for for today's episode. But I did also have a question as far as this penny is concerned. Um, because we're seeing what we're seeing and discontinuing this penny and well all the pennies, is that, are we going to see any kind of a change or a fluctuation on the value of these 1914 coins?
All right. So I'm going to give you a giant digital hug because that is a brilliant question.
Okay,
Um,
good.
so the answer is no. And
Okay.
why is that? Because it doesn't change the mintages or the rarity or the condition of the coins that are out there.
Mm,
What you're seeing right now is called FOMO, the fear of missing out. It is an emotional
mm,
reaction to something that people are blowing up to make a money grab. Um, if you're trying to flip things really quickly, can you probably capitalize on it right now? Yes. Will those things that people flip for thousands of dollars hold their value? No, they will
mm,
not. Um, that's why this 232 Omega Privy, these people average grade 64, 65. That is a moderate grade. Um, and it's nothing, it's not a special grade. It's nothing really significant. So 72,000. Now, granted, that's average. You might fare better, you might fare worse. But if you were looking for that set, you would want higher quality. So those lower value coins, they're going to probably drop off. Those higher value ones, they might maintain some of it, but I'm going to be monitoring that over the course of the next couple of years, and I'm going to see what the lot values as they resell were. Initially,
mm.
it's going to be high, but overall, I think we're going to lose. We're going to see people lose money on those deals. Um, could I be wrong? Maybe, but I made a call during the flowing hair gold and silver that we're probably going to see 15 to 20% reduction, and right now we're sitting about 22% reduction in overall
Mm.
value. This is something that Paula Bloom and some of the other folks in this community have called as well, and we're seeing that. Um, it's different where you're talking about high dollar gold and things of that nature, high end numismatic items, pre 33 gold, for instance. 1914D, that coin right now might go for a little bit higher dollar. If you're looking, let's say that thing comes back VF30 with the desire of people collecting pennies right now, that you may fetch as much as $400 or $500 for that coin. I'm not saying you
Wow.
will, but you could.
Right.
But here's the problem: the person who buys that, will they retain that? Will that value be retained? Probably not.
Mm.
It's an emotional reaction to something that's happening in the market, and that's FOMO. And we tell people steer clear of that. So be careful when you're doing that, not to fall into that. That was a brilliant question, by far, not staged, and absolutely one of the best you could ask when it came to talking about that. It seriously was that good of a
Oh, I
question. So
appreciate that.
nicely done. Let's show that Cougarand real quick. I want to ask a question to everybody in chat.
Oh, let's see if I can get good light on it.
It's okay. People see that there. Now, when you're laying on the table, you're looking at that. Obviously, this is the highest value item on the table at about 1 ounce gold. You're looking at a value of about $4,300. Significant value in
What?
gold. Yeah, not kidding. Um,
Wow.
Again, you look at 1978. Now again, we're looking at a time frame pre-80s. Now, I'm going to ask a question. I know Ringmaster Ray knows the answer to this. So, Ringmaster Ray, if you will do me a favor and not answer, but what famous movie in the 1980s featured the Cougarand? Does anybody know the answer to that? You
Lady
guys
and the
know
Tramp.
that? No. You guys know that I'm a story fiend. You guys know that I like the history, but I also like to bring things into pulp culture. Think about the gold coin and the Cougarand. Any movies, um, any kind of we'll give it Dime 25 likes. Oh, gotcha. Okay. There we go. We have a winner. Lethal Weapon 2. Absolutely. This was the illicit cargo that the film's villain, the corrupt South African diplomats, were utilizing, and they claimed their immunity to do their drug smuggling, intercept car chase, and all this gold Cougarand coins were discovered in the back of that car. This was the time where the government was talking about apartheid and the regime and all of that stuff. And while that coin is worth some value, just looking at the cold Cougarand reminds us that this coin actually became American pop culture for a number of years because of that movie. And so you're going to see a lot of Cougarands from the late 70s, early 80s, because people in 1989, when that came out, flocked to buy gold Cougarands. Here's another price. Tiger, you and I talked about this before. Gold at that time, $800 per coin.
Wow.
That just makes me sick to my stomach.
Unreal. So again, this is where, timing is a virtue. Time is a virtue. And the fact that he has some of these and has probably held on to these for a great number of years has warranted significant value for some of these. But the one I'm really interested in, Clyde says, Clyde says that he bought the Cougarand because of the Lethal Weapon movie. See, but again, it was pulp culture. It was something that was really, really interesting.
Yeah.
But the one up there that is probably the least value of all the coins, in my opinion, gives the best possible story. And if you will pick that coin up, that it's actually a token, a medal. There is an amazing story to that particular piece. And I have talked about this. I did a video on this. I've mentioned it a number of times. Now, I don't know if you are aware, but I served in the United States Navy. So I have a huge love for Navy memorabilia and Americana history. And this is a really, really cool piece. This celebrates the 1908, the departure in 1907, the very late departure of something called the Great White Fleet. And if you've never heard about this, this is a bronze medal that was created to honor Admiral Evans on his command of the Great White Fleet that departed in 1907, circumnavigated the globe on a 14-month tour. It included 20 ships on a goodwill mission. Now, the purpose of this, again, you're talking about 1907. You're talking about pre-stagings of war. This was a diplomatic mission, and it was also a flex. This was a check out these guns type moment. This was the American bicep flexing and saying, look at our military might. And so these 20 ships, there were 16 battleships and 4 support ships. These ships changed a little bit. But this was to remind people at each port. Now, there are a ton of pieces of information, and I am going to drop a link in chat. This link leads you to something called the Great White Fleet. You can see this medal. You can see Expiring Alchemist. We're on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan. Where does that come in? That's funny. But this was American flexing its muscles and saying, hey, world, check us out. We are a force to be reckoned with. We are a severe naval power. Look at our might, but look at our kindness. Oh, good grief. You read my mind. Flip it the other way. I was just about to ask you to flip that over. On the back, you will see the representation of Admiral Evans' ship and the Great White Fleet. Again, 16 battleships. And again, we're talking about just an amazing set of ships. If you look at the fleet comprised of famous ships like the USS Missouri, which was a massive thing. The USS Kansas, captained by Captain Vreeland. The USS Minnesota by Captain Hubbard. The Louisiana, for those of you who are in or around the Houston, Texas, and the New Orleans, which we just talked about that mint the other day. Captain Niles was the captain of that particular one. 2,000 miles over the course of 14 months. And then again, in early February of 2000, or in 1909, they docked back where they started, having transversed the globe. So while this piece is on the scale of things, it's kind of in the middle of some of the items. And depending upon, now this coin, if you flip it back over, I believe this coin was probably a pocket piece. You can see that by looking at the face. You can see at one time, and if you rotate this, you'll see at one time it's been wiped off. It's been cleaned a little bit. You can see the fields have been cleaned. You can see the items around the lettering. Some places have been cleaned, some have not. It looks like it was either polished or it was a pocket piece. I can't tell which one. I'd have to see a little bit better. But this is something that somebody enjoyed. This was something that somebody carried and had in their pocket for some time. What was the age of the people that passed away? Do you recall?
Unfortunately, I don't know that information. I can send a quick text and see if I get a response back soon enough.
Well, what would be curious is to see if either him, his father, or his grandfather was a member of the Great White Fleet.
That's what I was just curious about too. Yeah.
So now these were handed out in ports all over during the trip. So this person could have been stationed in Italy and these guys docked. They had these coins available, these medals available. They could have picked that up. But from a numismatic history and a story, out of all the coins there, that is, in my opinion, the one with the most numismatic history. Now, saying that, there's a lot of Morgan and Peace dollars there. And the Morgan and Peace dollars, you really got to dig into. We talked before we went live, right? There are some things that you want to look for. And the fact that you have that cent sitting next to it, that just happened to be a coin that you grabbed. Oh, and it just happens to be a key date. Oh, and it just happens to be the 1914 D.
Right.
You need to look at this collection pretty closely. We need to kind of look through some of these items, check the coin, check each coin, look at its significance, because it looks like the person who gave these to your uncle.
Yes.
Was it your uncle? Okay. Probably knew what they were doing. And so not only do we have to look at this, Tiger called this a stack. This is not necessarily a stack. This is a very well-planned collection of silver, gold, and other collectible items. So it looks like the person probably knew what they were doing, evident by the 1914 D. And that makes me really interested and really happy for you guys, because again, just something else to talk about, the level of kindness that was bestowed just because your uncle wanted to help somebody. So amazing pieces, a couple just quick touch-ups on some amazing stories. And hopefully you enjoyed the history of those. And we can kind of talk more between the three of us and look at some of this stuff and make sure that your uncle gets what this collection deserves.
Oh yeah. Actually, I don't know if you had caught it before, but Tiger had mentioned earlier that for some coins back in the past, I don't know if you have too much information or if I'm putting you on the spotlight or anything, so just tell me to shut up if I am. He had said back in the day, people would put, initials or something on a coin to show, some sort of endearment. But this one is with a 13 on it. and it's obviously an old coin. It's from 1880. I'm wondering if you know any reason why there would be a 13 on this, if there's any historical happening during that time where they would have done something like this.
There are too many possibilities. The possibilities are
Mm.
quite endless.
Oh.
You would have to know something specific about that. I'll give you some examples. If your uncle or the people that had these coins was a ship fitter, maybe this was their local union and they stamped a bunch of those to use
Oh.
as pocket pieces for them. Maybe 13 was the age at which the grandfather gave their son that particular coin. So doing something fun to
Oh.
mark the 13th birthday. There's so many potential possibilities of what that can mean, that unless you have a good history behind that particular coin or the provenance of that particular coin and what happened, it's just a counter stamp. Yeah, and Marsh, that's
Okay.
exactly right. Maybe the 13th Regiment. Who knows, right? There's so
Mm.
many possibilities, that it's just hard to tell. But at that point, it's a damaged coin. It's just silver
Mm.
at that point.
Sure. Well, it's still cool, the little historical possibilities that it could even be, even if it's something as sweet and loving as giving it to their 13-year-old grandson. That's something really cool. And it's just cool to think that, at some point in time within our history, these were in so many different people's pockets, just like it's, no big deal, like how we today have just coins in our pockets. But now here we are looking at this well over 100 years later and going ooh and ah and I wonder and well it could be. I mean, I just think it's just so neat that we can have so much of a human connection to these bits of gold and silver that we're looking at.
I remember that that's part of what brought me into stacking. There's this story that I typically have told is when I was born in 1962,
A
and my
damn year old.
grandfather, what's that?
It's a damn
Don't
year
listen
old.
to them.
Yeah, yeah. Comments from the peanut gallery. Anyway, so basically, uh, I remember when I started waking up in 2021, all these flooded memories of my grandfather talking about silver dollars and how coins used to have silver in them, and then what I experienced in my own personal life. The the silver and peace dollars for me connect me back to those memories and back to my grandfather.
Mm.
That's why I have a monster box. Monster box is 500 coins. That's 50% peace and 50% Morgan, just because it connects me back to my grandfather. So look, having you have a bunch of them makes me really, really happy for your uncle.
That's wonderful. And he does have like
And
a whole bunch of coins that are like from all across the world. There is actually some of them that I failed to send off that are from Australia that are pretty old too. So when I get the opportunity, I'll take pictures of those and send them over for you guys as well, just to look at and say, oh wow, that's cool. These also exist and they're right here. Something neat.
yeah, and I looked at some of the peace dollars. You have a couple of 1925, 1926. Those are good years. Um, so it's going to be important to look at those coins very carefully. So what I think we should probably do is you can do this. And again, you told us about the situation at your uncle's and why you're at the position you're at now. We can find a time to do another stream like this where it's just me, you, and Tiger, not live. Maybe record it, and then go
Okay.
through some of the coins, talk about each of those elements. Because again, if you grab that 1914D,
Oh, if I can.
you
There
had
we go.
no idea that that was going to be one of the most expensive coins next to the gold coin on your table.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
No idea. You just liked it because it was a wheat set. However, we got to look at some of the markers on that, validate that it's fair. And if it's genuine, you got a really nice key date Lincoln cent. And that is extremely exciting because again, you don't know what you have But seeing something like that indicates you might find some other stuff. You could find a 1916D Mercury dime. You could find a 1909 SVDB Lincoln cent. And those you're looking at $1,000 coin.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I did get
So
a response back from my brother. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
Oh, my brother-in-law just wrote back saying that the gentleman who had passed, he was 80 years old.
Okay, so maybe a grandfather, maybe a great grandfather served in the time that happened. So the fun part about numismatics is looking into where those things come from and the stories. And no, that's not the stamp. The 1880 with the 13 is just a counter stamp. I have looked, there's no reference of the 13 that I can find. It just usually it's just going to be somebody counterstamped it. People put their initials, they used them as brothel tokens, they used them for all sorts of things. There is no telling what that means. You can assume, but I'm not going to assume with her. I would set that aside. There are other more important things that she should be looking for in a collection
Mm,
like this and not chasing a rabbit hole. If you want to chase a rabbit hole later, then go ahead. But let's find
okay.
that really good. The item that I'm talking about is the 1914. The coin that's most valuable, obviously, is the gold Cougarand, which at spot price right now is $4,300. So probably had no idea the value of those. But again, all of these are contingent upon one thing: verifying their authenticity. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be crucial when doing these. But when I saw that cent, I'm like, I'm zooming in, zooming in. I'm like, holy shit! I don't think she knows
That's
what
so
she
cool.
has.
I didn't.
So, yeah, it's really cool. It's yeah, exactly. And Marsh, ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm really hopeful for what we're going to find here because there's some potential for some really good stuff. So when we're
yeah,
done with the live, let's coordinate some additional discussions and find some time to look through some coins.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got, I mean, actually, I'll just throw this on here. We've got some really cool coins, even from their Deutschland
Deutschmark.
coins. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the Deutschmark. Yep.
a Deutschmark. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of them, and I'm really excited to be able to show you all the different ones that we have because it's from all across the world. We've got a lot of Canadian coins because some of our personal coins, my family's personal coins, got mixed in on here too. Um, but yeah, I'm really excited to show you all of the different things as much as I can, at least as much as we remember and say, oh yeah, let's go talk to these guys about it and see what they know. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. So again, obviously you're going to want to keep that cougar round safe, but put that 14D again. Do not try to wipe it off. Do not try to clean it. Anything you do with that coin, you will destroy its value. So leave it as
Okay.
is. The less you handle it, the better, especially with oil hands. Copper has a tendency of getting fingerprints and everything else. You're going to want to take care of that coin. So handle that coin gingerly. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, lots of fun stuff. A couple great stories. But just congratulations on you guys receiving these elements, and let's look through them and make sure that you can get what they're worth.
Now, one of the things you'll
Absolutely.
want to do is maybe get either rubber gloves or cloth gloves so that you don't, get oil on the coins. It's what
Yeah,
recommended for most coin collectors. Unlike myself, because of the fur, I don't have to worry about it as much.
He just has to worry about scratching them with his claws.
Yeah, keeping them
yeah.
keeping them retracted is okay as long as the wife doesn't yell at me.
Yeah, when you were saying that, Frosty, about the coins, I'm like, oh, he says after I just manhandled it a bunch of times. Okay, good to know. I should have known,
Is
but I
what it
didn't.
is.
So,
What it is. But again, you're talking about a coin that's 111 years old. Um,
yeah.
but it is a key date. So again, that's I was pretty excited. This wasn't planned. This was something that as she pulled these up, I was like, is that oh my hell? I'm not going to
Wow.
mention this because we were talking about the other two coins, but she just happened to stick a key date copper coin up there, and I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So um
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I just appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about the numismatic history of those. And Tiger, I'll turn it over to you to wrap stuff up. I do have an announcement to make before we end, though, so remind me, please.
Okay. Well, as I'd said so many times before, you never know what's going to happen. And, we have a wonderful community. And you never, it's like, the friendship that happened between Frostbite and me stemmed out of the fact that I'm not very techy. And he helped me out, and that started the friendship. In this case, you have her uncle that reached out to help an elderly couple, and something wonderful came out of it. So you never know what's going to happen. So please be kind to each other. Don't expect anything in return. Just expect that you're being kind to someone, and it will help your soul feel better no matter what. If you're doing it for secondary gain, it's not really kindness. It's trying to get advantage. But that's all I really have to say about it. I just really wanted everyone to see how much kindness can lead to some particular person is now in our stacking community, and now I'm hoping that he will start watching YouTube channels such as Frostbite and myself, so that he can learn what he's got, and also educate himself about what's going on with real money, silver and gold, not fiat paper money and not digital money. So that's all I have to say. What do you got going on, Frosty?
So I want to just say, J Lo says, or Joseph Lopez, we call him J Lo, by the way. I would have that key date graded just to keep it protected. Um, it depends on what you're going to do. You can turn that over really quickly if it's authentic. You don't need to grade this coin to have people buy it. This is a key date. As long as it's maintained in a good condition, then it should be fine. If you want to keep it, you want something you want to maintain and you want to make sure it doesn't get damaged or scratched up, then yes, I absolutely recommend that you grade those. Again, what we'll do is we'll set those aside. For majority, you're not going to grade any of these coins. Um, but we'll look through those, and who knows what we find. We see peace dollars in there. You could have a 1921 or 1928. We see some Morgans in there. Maybe you have an 1893S. Who knows what's in this stack? There could be extremely beneficial. So let's find some time to go through this. But what I really wanted to do is I wanted to drop something in chat. I'm dropping a link right now. As soon as we're done here, go over to MLZBs, and they're going to have Vote for Pedro is putting on a Wounded Warrior Merry Christmas party. They're going to be giving away lots of stuff. You all know Tiger and I are really big on supporting Wounded Warriors, as well as we love Vote for Pedro. So please go over. He's donated a ton of stuff to give away. Come over, celebrate the season, enjoy the hope, the happiness, and peace that come within the community. And hopefully we get to see you over there. That's all I have, Tiger. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with a guest today. And you got some cool pieces. I'm looking forward to what we're going to find.
So am I.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, this has been a real treat. I was nervous, but then this has just been so fun this whole time. Thank you so much for having me on your show, you guys.
Thank you for coming. For me, it's going to be an education because I'm more the stacker, and watching him tell stories about the different coins and watching him go through the different gradings. And you'll find out about it if you do this with us. It's something called VAMs. That's too long of a discussion to discuss at the end of a live stream, but it's basically different ways to look at these coins, especially the Morgans. It's going to be a fun thing to watch him teach you. And even though I don't have all the knowledge that he has on numismatists, it is fun to watch, to go through all the coins. So I
Yeah,
want to thank you for coming, sharing your uncle's story with us. I wish he would have been with you, but that's okay.
I
Maybe
know.
time. So that's all I have to
Yeah.
say.
Sounds good. I'm really gonna try, and I mean he's a sweet guy. He's well, he ate like the whole humble pie since we were talking about that earlier. He's just a very kind, keeps to himself kind of a guy, and I really want him to get this firsthand experience himself too, to just basically celebrate, the goodness that he has been towards other people. This is a little treasure trove that he gets to enjoy for himself. And I like being the middleman, don't get me wrong. I love learning about this myself. I find it very interesting, but really this is his, and I want him to really get full access to what exactly he's got.
So before we go, I want to harvest the names because we have at least one dime that's going to be given away. So if you all would just bear with me while I go ahead and pull the names up.
While you do that, I will read a Christmas poem. So this is one of my favorite Christmas poems by Joanna Fuchs. Be careful saying that name wrong, by the way. It says, Christmas is full of shiny things that sparkle, gleam, and glow. It's the holiday pleasures that dazzle us, and yet deep down we know that Christmas itself is a special gift. But our year round joy depends on the cherished people in our lives. Those are our family and our friends. So, folks, we wish you guys a safe and Merry Christmas. Join us next week on my channel for Stack Collector. We'll be talking about strategies, implementation, how to be smart with your money, how to be smart with stacking and collecting, making good sound decisions. We'll talk a little bit about budgeting, setting you up for a good solid 2026. But I want to tell you all that I appreciate all the kindness that you show Tiger and I over the year. Can't believe Stack Collector's over a year old already, but
Wow.
it's just something that we really feel led to do for the community. So we appreciate and love you all, and we just wanted to take a moment and say so.
Just bear with me here. I am struggling. Remember, I had told you I had issues with the computer. Let me see if I can get this.
That is, they call that the ID10T. It's the short circuit between the seat and the keyboard.
You must be talking about your butt because you're being a butthole. Okay.
You guys know what the ID10T is, right?
Can't say I know myself.
I'll put it in chat.
Okay, here we go.
You can also write it down on a piece of paper. It's funny. It's a technology joke.
He's making fun of the fact that I'm not the technologically advanced. So let's go ahead and run the wheel. Only 38 likes, so only one dime will be given away. For the winner, congratulations. Good luck to everyone. If you are the winner, please contact me within 48 hours of this live stream. Otherwise, you forfeit what you won. It'll be for a silver dime. Please include in there your real name, your channel name, and your address, including zip code, please. So let's see who wins. Here we go. And I understand. Turn down the volume, Clark Kent.
Uh-oh. 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 SkyQuest. Hashtag Eclipse.
Congratulations, SkyQuest, on winning a silver dime. So, like I said, go ahead and contact me at thetigerstacker@gmail.com. If one of the mods will put it into the chat. And once again, congratulations. So thank you very much for coming and sharing our hour with us. And I wish you all good night.